Thanks for watching and welcome to episode 10 of Racing Junior. So I'd like to start off the episode by saying thanks to Home Built by Jeff, which is a channel out of Australia, where he builds like classic cars at home in a much quicker fashion than we do. And it's a really interesting channel, so go have a look. And he just started one of these Alfa Romeos, later 105, and the build will go really quickly, so do check it out. I also remember that we never mentioned where we're filming out of, so we're based in Malta, which is a small island in the Mediterranean, and the classic car scene is booming here. So back to the project. As you've seen in the opening sequence, we did turn the car around, as it's time to start working on the front. So even though the episode is called The Nose Job, there is a lot of structural work that goes into this part, as there was a lot of rust near the anti-roll bar area, which we had to start from that area to make sure we build on a good foundation. Just as another note, this is an early car, so if you're working on a later car, the inner panel is a lot different, as there is a structure behind here. It serves as a radiator shroud and front reinforcement. So now it's time to start working on the front end. We have a repair panel for the whole area, but the plan of action is to just replace the bottom side from the valance downwards. We're just going to keep the step nose part as it's intact and it's in good shape, so there's no point in replacing it. So at some point in this car's life, the front valance has been replaced. I'm not sure what car it's been replaced from, but it's definitely not the original part. As we can see here, there's a lip and there is a raised part for the number plate. The front lift mudguard was in good condition, so we don't need to replace the whole thing. However, we had to take care of two areas. We have to make this repair section for this curve here, which has a lot of rust from the inside too. And then we also have to replace the front end, but we do have a repair panel for that. Here we're taking a template of the right mudguard, and we're just going to make a repair section and invert it to use it on the left side. Here we're trying the template for the new repair piece. We cut it a little bit bigger, however we're just going to cut less. We're just going to cut this area that's badly corroded. It's easier to control a smaller repair than a big one. Here we can also see that the bumper hole matches from the right side. It's just a little bit longer, however we can take care of that later. The homemade crossmember repair. It was just a piece of C-section, it didn't look anything like the original. And we're also going to clean off the million lumps of welds that are around. To start the repairs at the front, first we're going to fit the front panel to be able to match these curves over here. Before they weren't even connected to the front panel, so we have to see that everything lines up nicely. Once we're happy, we can remove the front panel and correct these areas here. So here the angle should look like a 90-degree plate and cover the inner firewall. Same thing on the other side where it needs a little bit more work. And in order to fit the front panel, we have to cut the headlamp in half. We're going to leave the top in place as a reference for the headlamp, and also cut around here in between the indicator, so we'll have the least amount of welding needed. We will also keep the bumper mounts in place, as these are an important reference point, and they're very useful to line up everything once we start putting all the panels together. This is the initial trial of the front panel, so we just trimmed off the headlight rings, so we can have access and fit the panel more flatly. We also use the bumper bolts as location places. trying the trim pieces such as the grill and all the other bits like the sides of the grill. So we have to start by repairing the anti-roll bar mount. As you can see here, it was welded and badly repaired, and we have the new replacement section, which is the whole black part. However, most of the chassis part is still intact, so we will just cut a small piece and replace the anti-roll bar mount at the front. Here we made a little jig out of a steel plate. We copied the bend of the side that was uncut, so we could have the original factory reference. Here we can see that we still need to trim a little bit off, so around 4 millimeters. So what we'll do is we'll trim 4 millimeters from this edge here to get the pitch of the holes exactly in line. This will help us later when the anti-roll bar will sit exactly parallel from one mount to the other, to here. So in order to check both anti-roll bar locations, we created this sort of frame. So we'll be able to measure the distance between these two mounts. So what we did is we used the rest of the rotis here and clamped some straight bars to be able to measure the distance both as the height and the distance from the frame over here. Here we used 10 millimeter spacers to hold the bar in place and in line with both mounts. One here, another one there. After we were happy with the location where both mounts were in line, we decided to start making the filler piece. So we couldn't have started building this piece here without having the correct location for the bottom. Here we started the initial repair on the right side anti-roll bar mount. So next we're going to move on to the left side, which requires a little more work. So here the repair can be seen going underneath the bumper mount, and this is an important reference point. So what we will do is we made a little jig, welded in place, so we'll be able to remove the material underneath the bumper mount. Then we will fabricate this sheet again, copying the factory shape. So to make this complex panel, we're going to go with the usual routine. So first we made a cardboard template from some stiffer cardboard. And then we cut a paper cutout with allowing extra material for the flaps to be formed. Also here we have an angle that will be bent as a recess. So after marking out the paper from the cardboard template, we marked it onto the steel sheet and we trimmed off the piece we needed. So the next step in the process is to start forming the flaps and the recesses. Here we're constructing the corner that was missing, and this will aid the cross member for the radiator to be mounted to in this area over here. So here we have the radiator cross member in place, which is mounted to the anti-roll bar brackets. And we can also see that the front valence lines up nicely to the radiator cross member. So for now everything is screwed in place, but we're happy with the fit, so then we can go ahead and just weld everything together permanently. We also made sure to line up the radiator in place, and we used some spacers to make sure that the holes line up. Here we started welding the front cross member in place. And since the piece comes in two parts, we just welded the rear part first, and then we're going to weld in the front part later. The reason we did this is so we can weld on the inside. Here we're working on one of the last repairs to finish the front end. So this area is located underneath the battery. It's a common rust problem as the battery leaks acid and gets collected over the two sheets and corrodes badly. So what we did is we repaired in 2 stages. Earlier in the project we repaired this bottom plate here, as we can see in the pictures. And now we're going to take care of the second part, so the fold that goes over the first one. And the battery tray goes all over the repair in this position. Here we can see how badly the battery tray is rusted. That is something we will replace later. At this stage we're going to reproduce the battery tray. So this one, as you can see, is badly eroded. Usually this happens with older batteries because they leak acid from the top and gets collected at the bottom, which really erodes the sheet away. So what we did is we removed this side guard and we will copy it into the new part we're making. Here we just cut out the corners and then we're shaping it into a quarter turn just to copy the original shape.